Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by the fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about baseball cards. These things. I changed the tagline because every week we have a guest now, and we have another guest this week, and this is really cool. This is the Yogi Berra Show. Stacy is a Yogi Berra super collector, and you will see the amazing collection. There's so many slides, it's going to take me a while to get through them all, but I am so excited to go through it. But let's talk a little bit about Yogi Berra first. He was born in St. Louis, the son of two Italian immigrants named Lorenzo Pietro or Lawrence Peter Berra. He grew up in the hill section of St. Louis, and his across the street neighbor was the baseball player and famous broadcaster Joe Garagiola. When Garagiola was originally signed by the St. Louis Cardinals, he was given a $500 bonus. And the Cardinals wanted to sign Yogi Berra also, but they didn't want to give him the bonus, so he didn't sign. So Branch Rickey, who at the time was the GM of the Cardinals, could have had Yogi Berra as a catcher on the Cardinals, but he didn't. So he ended up signing for with the Yankees and played a year in the minors before the war. Now let's bring up some of his bio here. Yeah, see, he was born in 1925 in St. Louis. He made his debut in 1946, but before that, Yogi Berra went from joined the Navy in 1943 and was actually at D-Day. Received a medal for being at D-Day. He was a machine gunner on a boat and was on Omaha Beach, which, if you know anything about World War II, was one of the most deadly and horrific situations, the beginning of D-Day. And Yogi Berra was there. He lived, he survived. He got hit in the hand, but did not get the Purple Heart because he didn't put the paperwork in for it because he didn't want to scare his mother. So Yogi Berra leaves in 1946. He makes his debut. He is a rookie in 1947. You can see here in his stats here. Has a few at-bats in 46. 47, he's a rookie. And he has a good season. And then in 1948, he becomes the Yogi Berra that we know. A 10-time World Series champion as a player. I believe he has 4 more rings as a coach. He won 3 MVP awards. Appeared in the World Series beginning in 1949 to 52. I'm sorry, 53. The Yankees won the World Series 5 years in a row. Then they won it again in 56 and 58 and 61. In 1963, Yogi became a player coach. So you see his numbers there. He only played in 64 games. And in the 1964, he was hired as the manager of the Yankees. Took an old Yankee team that was having issues and won the pennant by having a very strong August and September. They did lose the World Series in 7 games to the St. Louis Cardinals. And then Yogi was unceremoniously fired. And then he went on to become a player coach with the New York Mets in 1965. You see right there, he played in 63, didn't play in 64 because he managed. 65, he became a player coach. And the player part of it didn't last very long. He retired permanently in May of 1965 and then coached with the Mets from 1965 through the time that he was fired as manager in 1975. He got a World Series ring with the 1969 Mets when he was joined with his former rival but now close friend Gil Hodges. When Gil tragically passed away in spring training of 1972, Yogi became the manager. He was the manager of the amazing Mets of 1973, the You Gotta Believe group that made it to the World Series and lost in 7 games to the Oakland A's. Yogi then became, he managed until I believe early 75 with the Mets. He became a coach with the Yankees again in 1976 with his friend Billy Martin. Coached with the Yankees until the time he was actually given the job as manager in 1984. He was fired in early 1985, was so angry with George Steinbrenner that he didn't go to Yankee Stadium for like another 12 years. Finished his uniform his time in uniform as a coach for the Houston Astros for several years, where he got to coach in his son Dale Berra's final season in the major leagues with the Astros in 1987. Yogi was he's just, and we'll talk about this with Stacy, but he's just an amazing person. From all of those 1950s World Series, he intersected with DiMaggio and Mantle and Jackie Robinson, and he was in Omaha Beach, and he lived until, go back in the slide, he lived to the age of 90, I believe, and he passed away in 2015 at the age of 90. There is a Yogi Berra Museum, and we'll talk about this later, on the campus of Montclair State University, near where Yogi lived his entire life, or his entire adult life, with his wife and children. Amazing, amazing individual, known in many respects for his interesting way of saying phrases, and his funny look and his funny attitude, but ultimately just an amazing human being and an amazing American, and so happy to have on a super collector. But before we get to Stacy's, this is my Yogi Berra collection. There's the 48. It's a rookie card essentially, but there are previous cards to the 48. But anyway, there's the 48, the 51 Burke Ross, 52 Bowman, the 56 there, not in a slab, but in my binder with my complete set. The 53 Bowman on the bottom left, that wonderful shot from the dugout. The 54 Bowman, 54 Topps, and then a 2000, I think 2000, 2001, I have to go back and grab it. It's a relic card from Upper Deck that I got in a pack break, and then just got it slabbed, and it's an 8, and it's a beautiful looking card there. So that's my modest Yogi Berra collection. I did forget to pull this one up. This is the 3-player card from the 53 Bowman set with Yogi Berra, Hank Bauer, and Mantle. I had it up in the Mantle spot. You can see the empty spot for it right there. And then I forgot to pull it down and put it in the photo, but that's another Berra card. So let's make sure we bring on Stacy now. There you go. There you go.
Hey, Dan.
How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself, man?
Great to have you on. I know we've been working on this for a little bit, and this is an exciting one because, as any of our viewers can see from behind you, there's quite a bit of collection to go through, and I would like to go through all of it.
That's all Yogi back there.
So,
go ahead.
Couple of things. I know you've been involved in sports for much of your life. I know you were, I believe, a player and then a trainer. I'm not sure, but
yes.
And then obviously a collector. So tell me a little bit about your sports, your baseball card collecting, and then we'll get to Yogi after that.
I played baseball from the time I was a kid, and I've always been a huge baseball fan. Started collecting this, like so many other people say, in the 80s and junk wax era. I started really about late 70s. Collected all through growing up. Ended up working for a card shop in my hometown in Asheville, North Carolina, back in the late 80s, early 90s. Worked there for several years, and encountered so many professional ball players back then from the card shows we hosted, guys like John Smoltz and David Justice and Warren Spahn and Bobby Richardson and all these guys that came from shows that we hosted, and I met a lot of those guys. And then I went to fast forward a little bit, after my baseball playing days were over, which I became an athletic trainer in college. And in undergrad, I was at Western Carolina University, got my degree there in sports medicine and exercise science. And then I got a full ride to Mercer University down in Macon, Georgia, where I was an athletic trainer and strength coach at Mercer. And I was at Mercer from 97 to 2000 and worked baseball and fast pitch softball and soccer and, all of our other Division I sports. And again, was around a lot of pro baseball guys. I've got, Mark Teixeira was at Georgia Tech. J.D. Drew, my first part of when I was there, J.D. Drew was at Florida State. We played against Tim Hudson when he was in Auburn. All these different pro guys that I've been around, for a long time. And I actually, my last year at Mercer, I thanks to Coach Barry Myers, who was our head baseball coach, who I became very close. They called him Big Cat. I came really close to Big Cat, and he one of our alums was a guy named Muzzy Jackson, who Muzzy was uh, worked in the front office of the Kansas City Royals. And he
Mm,
got me an interview with the Royals for a strength coach position for the Spokane, Washington Rookie Ball Club. And I was a finalist in it. And basically I can't remember the gentleman's name that did the interview with me, but he basically told me that if I spoke Spanish, if I told him if I could learn Spanish in 3 weeks, the job would be mine. But I'm
yeah.
like, I took French in high school for some
So
unknown
so nice.
reason. It's like, what good does that do me now? I could have been working pro baseball, after that
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
strength coach. But I told him, I was like, I didn't feel this was 2000. There
Well,
wasn't
I'll tell you, Stacy, if they
the
bring the
apps
Expos
and
back,
stuff.
you should go up to Montreal. They speak a lot of French up there.
Yeah, absolutely. But so yeah, I didn't. I ended up not getting that position, and came back up to the mountains of Western North Carolina, where I was from, and you know, long story through the whole thing, got back into collecting. Really over the years, I bought a box or two here or there. Through all of the late '90s, early 2000s, I get just a little bit here and there, but not a lot. And then kind of got out of it after around 2012, 2013, and didn't really pick it back up again until during COVID.
Hmm.
And I've got my daughter Marley, who is her heaven daddy passed away when she was 6 months old, and I've been daddy since she was 4. But she got into it as well. And like yesterday, we went to our first card show in 2.5 years, and she was really
Nice.
excited to pick up some stuff. We're building a 56 top set together, which was her idea, and she's a big Ernie Banks collector, which we talked about as well. But yeah, so I got back into it then, and have just really. It's like I remember saying, hearing Vineet say, now that he's a grown up, you can buy the cards you want to buy and do the things you want to
Yeah,
do. And
yeah. I often
so I
say that my 16-year-old self would be very impressed with my collection now.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get to the collection here. So that's the first shot, and there's a lot of shots because it's a big collection. I know you
It
couldn't,
is.
unless you had like a panorama thing, you couldn't have gotten it all at once. But this is kind of the first of the many money shots. And I guess just kind of taken aback by the breadth of it here. And we'll get into the details on some of the closer up spots, but just really kind of took my breath away when I saw this one, because I could see not only cards from the flagships, but some of the oddballs, some of the sort of off things like the red man, and then a lot of the photos. I love the 50. I think it's the 50 Bowman has that photo that you've got a type 1 of. So we can get into that too, but just love the whole sort of overview of it. And then when we get into it, now we're getting a little closer here. So my first question is, that's the 64. Is that a Venezuelan?
Yeah, that is the 64 Venezuelan, right next to the 67 Venezuelan. I've got my flagship ones on a different shelf altogether. But yeah, that is the 64 Vinny. I found that on eBay. I looked at it. It said 1964 tops. I don't even think the guy realized it was a Venezuelan.
Yep.
And it was an auction, and I ended up getting it for about $30.
Oh wow, nice.
So
We know, we have in our group, we have the Venezuelan expert guy,
yes,
and Joe, I believe his name is, and
yes,
he's got just an amazing collection, an amazing amount of information. But one thing I do know is that they're all expensive. So for you to
yeah,
get that for 30
yeah.
is great. I didn't talk
It's
about Yogi in the hobby. Yogi in the hobby. Yogi starts at 48, and then he
yes,
goes. He's in. I think he's in every Bowman set, and
he is.
he's in the top sets, starting in the 51 game and then the 52, and then he goes through. until 64. He's a manager, but then he has a 65 card
65.
with the Mets.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any cards again until his manager card in 73. And then he
Correct.
has a few cards later on. But the thing about I'm gonna mess this up because I don't speak Spanish either. It's retired players.
I think Richarado, I think is how I say it.
Right, right. Okay, it's a 1967. So what you got there
Correct.
is the only card, or one of the only cards of Yogi's between 65 and 73. Yep.
That guy right there.
So this one, I know that these are hard to get. I know they're expensive. I know that the quality are issues because they're probably like a paper. So how'd you get that one?
That one I found, I believe, also found on eBay, and I think it was a buy it now. I saw it, and I'm like, I've been wanting this card. It's a PSA 1. You know, it's actually is the card. Let me get this in frame
Yeah, let
here.
me get a little better photo there view. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So the card itself, you can see it is a 1.
Right.
One of the big problems with the Venezuelans is usually the back, but I've got a good back on this
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Got to
yeah.
get it without the
Good.
glare, but I'm not succeeding there. It's got a
No, that's
good back. It's just
yeah.
the corners are all rounded and worn.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
it's just
I mean
it's
that condition is never an issue. I mean, condition's kind of always an issue with those guys. So if you can
yeah
get one like that, where the back is good, and the corners are not, I don't know. Back when I was a kid, or when I was collecting as a teenager and a young adult, everybody was all obsessed about corners. Now everybody's obsessed about centering. So
yeah
it's one of those things where the hobby changes. So a few others here. I think that's if you go to the right, the 48's all the way in the far right, then the 51 game. I think is that Drake's next to it there?
yes, that is the Drakes. That is another one that I just watched for and watched for and watched
Yeah.
for this card. I love these cards.
Yeah.
They're Drake's cookies. So they
Yep.
came in bags of cookies. you know, and I'd kept watching for one and watching for it, and finally saw one pop up. And there was the only one that I had seen on for sale in over a year was on an eBay seller that I'm not going to use the name, but an eBay seller that is known for he has nice stuff and he has it priced very high. And
I know.
so
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I won't say his name.
and I'm like, I had a saved search up,
Uh-huh.
and when one came up, I think it came up for auction. I'm like, I'm not losing this card.
Yeah.
So I waited until played the sniper role and waited until the last couple seconds and put in a ridiculous number that I knew it wouldn't get as high as. And I ended up getting the card. I don't even remember what it ended up finishing at, but I got it off of there and I was very happy to have it. And I did a video. Sometimes I'll do little videos and reels of my collection and stuff. And I did a video on Instagram, and it's like there's a song called "Welcome Home." I can't think of the band or whatever, but I did the thing is like "Welcome Home" right as I placed it on its stand right in the collection. So it's a pretty cool little reel I did for it.
the the similar photograph, and there's two. You saw my minor small Yogi Berra collection. There's two Yogi
Yes.
cards that I do really want to get, and they're both up there on the right. One is this almost the same photograph, if not the same as the Drake's. Is the 50 Bowman, the vertical one,
Yeah.
which I love, and then the 49 Bowman. To me is just a beautiful card with that red and the up close.
Yes.
So those are the two. And I was at a show yesterday. I was at Hofstra, and I picked up. Sometimes the guys put the price tag on the bottom. So I picked up. I think it was like a 4 of the 50 Bowman, and I picked it up and I looked at it. And it was like $660. I don't even know if that's a comp. I didn't even comp it out. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is I'm never gonna get this card. It's like
I love that card.
$600. Come on.
I
Anyway,
love that card. That's one that
yeah,
I looked for a long time, and the one thing that one always has, there's some registration issues.
yep,
You
yep,
know, there's a lot of them out there where the photo, the layers, the coloring don't line up, and so it makes it look a little blurry to the eye. I was very picky at finding one with good registration. And so I finally found and I've looked at other ones, and the reason I don't have a graded one of that, because I actually have thought about getting a graded card of that, but there's one grading company I think it's CSG that will grade it vertically because it's the same width as a standard Topps card,
Yep.
but they want to turn it sideways.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's a vertical card. It's an up. So grade it vertically, and everyone they grade it as a horizontal card and turn it on its side. And I'd
Right.
rather I don't want to have it sit that way, so I haven't
Well,
bought a graded one.
the one company I don't have any of the slabs. I think it's HGA does those vertical slabs, but I wouldn't put it
Okay.
in an HGA because I don't know if that company's gonna be around too much longer. But
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from. So rather than go through every card that I feel like talking about, why don't you tell me from this display some of the ones that you think are particularly interesting?
One of the toughest cards post-war is this set.
Let me
This is 1951 Topps Major League All Stars. Let's see if I can get it there. There we go.
yeah.
There are Connie Mack All Stars as well, which were legendary. Like like former players at the time. But there's this. I think there's only 11 cards in this set. It's a mystery as to how they were obtained. Some people have speculated that when you bought a complete set of the game cards, the 51 Topps, that you got a pack that has a few of these in it, but they know that that's where the Connie Max came from, but they don't know if these were mixed in as well.
Right.
And I was reading an article about it, and the guy's like, I haven't found anyone willing to open one of the unopened ones to find out for sure. But these are extremely tough. And to find one, even if you don't know if you can see there, he still has most of the bat
Yeah.
above his head. Now the way this is usually is it's solid and it has a complete red background. Those are extremely hard to find, but just
Right.
to find one overall, I was really excited to pick this up. It's one that I watched for a long time too. I
eBay.
think yeah, eBay. I
Yeah.
think PSA population on these is under 5. If I may be mistaken, but it's pretty low.
Right.
You know,
Right. How
but
big is
yeah,
that?
those are
Oh, no, it's like a regular card size.
yeah.
I'm not getting a
Well,
perspective because the camera. Stand.
here's a slab. Let's see, back it up.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's a little
Okay. All right.
bigger.
So it's smaller than I originally thought. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Now,
about
could you? I
perspective.
don't know if you even want to get that slab. To be honest with you, sending that off to PSA, you might come back without the bat on it. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm just going to leave it like it is.
Yeah, I think you're better off leaving it as it is.
Yeah. I'm real. That's one thing about me. I have a hard time sending my cards off.
Yeah.
I guess I have the fear that they're going to someone's going to steal them in the mail, or something's going to happen, and so I've never actually sent one of my own cards in for grading for my PC.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never
Yeah, I
I've
send them
never
out all
done.
the time, but I'm
Yeah.
sending out stuff that is not going to kill me if it disappears.
Yeah.
But there's a couple that I do want to get reslabbed, which are 4-digit cards, and those are ones I'm kind of feeling the same way as you on that.
Yeah. This is another one that is in that shot. Let me get that for you. This
Right.
is a 1959 Yoo-Hoo.
Okay.
So it's a postcard.
Uh-huh.
They came with tabs and without tabs. This one is the only one I've seen for sale since my time back in the hobby. And it was up for a long time, and I messaged the seller because it was up there and I wanted it. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it, even though I really wanted it. I messaged the seller because he had it just as a buy it now, and
Right.
he ended up doing he sent me an offer because I messaged him like I'm really interested in it. But this one's also, let's see if I can get that, autographed by Yogi on the back.
Oh, nice, nice.
But there's only 16 graded by PSA and 16 graded by SGC, and
He
that's the ones without the tabs.
One of the bio things that I didn't put in there is that he was a spokesman for Yoo-Hoo for many years.
Yeah, he became one of the first athletes to really capitalize on marketing, on
Yeah.
doing the. So, I mean, you had the Mr. Coffee with DiMaggio and some of the other things, but he really went a long way with it, all the way through. Through his whole life, he did a lot with that because he was such a good person. People trusted him.
Yep. Yep.
Everyone trusted Yogi because Yogi was everyone knew Yogi. Everyone loved Yogi. You can't not love Yogi Berra. If you don't
Right.
love Yogi Berra, I'm questioning who you are as a person because he was an amazing human being. But
Yep.
yeah, so that's the 59 Yoo-hoo. Probably there's two more here I'll show you out of that set. Well, there's a few more that I have stacked, but this one is probably the rarest one that I have.
Okay.
This
I
is
don't.
the 1962
Okay.
Pittsburgh Kennywood exhibit.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I know that set. Yeah.
This is
That is.
supposed to be a 10 of hearts. Whoever
That's all.
got it decided to make it into a spade,
Oh, okay.
you know, but it's the only one I've ever seen for sale. PSA has graded 5 of them. STC has graded 2.
Yeah, I think I've seen. I forget who it was. Killebrew, I think, is in that set.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I've seen a few of those, so I know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's super rare stuff.
Yeah, these were only distributed at one arcade, the Kennywood Arcade in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is like an arcade on a dock, I guess, like a beach dock kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Grandstand. It was only at that one place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1962. Only chance you could get it is if you got it from that arcade machine. So they were super rare. They're all playing cards. There's 2
Right.
different satchel pages in the set. There's a lot of
Right. Yeah.
there's mantle, but man, they are tough to get.
Is there
And they're
Clemente in there?
usually what's that?
Is there a Clemente in that set? If it's a
I,
Pittsburgh issue.
there might be. I would have
Okay.
to look at the thing and see. If you look at it, you can see the pop report on PSA and STC, and you can see who all's in it.
Yep.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's the Kennywood. This one I just picked up recently. Everybody knows the exhibit cards.
Yep.
Nothing real big about, oh, there's this, the exhibit. The difference is most exhibits are blank back.
Yeah.
I found this one.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to flip a stats back, but no, that's a
No,
postcard.
this
Yeah.
is a postcard back, and down here, I don't know if I can make you see it or not. In the print line in the middle, let's see right there. It says Mutascope.
Oh, okay. It's
You
upside down.
barely make it out there. Okay, this is a Mutascope back.
Okay.
These were produced in 55. SGC or PSA has never graded a Yogi.
Wow.
There's zero population of this card graded. There's only about, I think, maybe 14 total Mutascopes graded by PSA. I didn't look into that at SGC. I don't think actually SGC had them where I could look it up. But this is probably one of the rarest cards I've found.
Wow.
And it popped up. I saw it pop up on eBay just literally a few weeks ago, and it said Mutascope back. And I guess people just didn't realize what it was. It was only me and one other person bidding on it, and I got it for less than $150, which
Nice.
is pretty amazing considering what it is.
Yep.
We talked about the Drakes. You had your Burke Ross. I've got both Burke Rosses there. I've got this one in a 6 with who is
Yeah.
this?
CS.
CSG.
Yeah.
That little guy.
Yeah.
And then
The
I've
the
got
fifth
the
one.
2 in that one.
I got mine off of eBay, and I paid a good price for it. In fact, I paid less than someone had offered me the same card like a week or two earlier, knowing that I'm working on the 51 Burke Ross set. And then I found
Yeah.
it on eBay, and it was and I got it actually lower price, so I felt like I got a deal. And it's a 5, so it's really nice. So let's go back. We only got the one slide, my friend. You got to move. All right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of flagship here. Of course, on the right is the '60s stuff. Which
Yes.
look, this is
It
he
starts with a
doesn't really
59 on
have
the
a
right.
bad card. I think probably his least attractive card is probably that 64, but all the rest of them are terrific cards.
Yeah.
And then there's the 54 there, the 54 tops in the middle with your beer mug.
The one above that is the 54 Sports Illustrated.
That's what I was about to ask, because
Yes.
I did an Al Rosen show a few weeks ago, and he's in that 54 Sports Illustrated. And I have the Sports Illustrated. I got it from one of our friends. It was one of the Bens, I think, sent it to
Right.
me. And so the person I was on my super collector didn't know it. That's how little people know about the about the Sports Illustrated. So I saw that. I'm like, I think that's a Sports Illustrated. And then you
And
got the
that's
photo
literally paper
behind.
stock.
Yep, exactly. And I'm not sure if anybody grades them. And then you got
I
the
don't
50,
think so.
the 50s up there, and then the 50s. How'd you get the 52? Because that's one of those ones that's a little pricey.
The 52 was when I first, got back into the hobby, and I'd always loved Yogi. I mean, I just always had loved and admired him as a player and a person. And when I first got back into it, the birthday, so that was my birthday of 2020. I believe Kelly got that one for me for my birthday.
Nice.
So now she gives me a hard time now. She's like, "You bought all the cards. What am I supposed to get you for Christmas now?" It's like, I don't know what
That's
to
what my
get you
kids
when you
said.
bought them all. Yeah.
I got for my birthday. They got me a lithograph of the 52 mantle, but they
Oh,
don't know
sweet.
what cards. They don't know what cards to buy because I'm always buying the cards that I need. So,
Yeah.
and then okay, so this is a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure about. Obviously, a lot of those are the type ones, and then on the left is all the red men, and then
Yes.
it's post cereal or Jello. Those
Both post cereal and Jello down the middle. I'm
right.
still looking for that post Canadian 62 post Canadian
Okay,
that has eluded me.
and
The
then in
next
the
row
middle.
there, you've got the 1956 tops button in the
Okay,
front, a
yeah,
little button or pin.
yep,
Then you've got the behind it is the 55 tops. No, the 55 All American Sports Club.
right.
The next
There's a
one up is the 61 Rub Off,
uh-huh.
and the back one is the 1962 or three Kim Strand. It was like an iron-on patch.
The red one in the middle.
52 Star Cow decals.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Is that a bazooka to the right of that? The 1.5?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
1960 Bazooka.
Yeah.
In front of that one is the Type 2 of the 52 Star Cow decal.
And then
Then,
there's the Wheaties on the far right. Those I recognize.
yeah, I've got the Wheaties. I've got the front. You've got the 61 Tops Bucks and the stamps. Then you've got the Salada Junket coins on that second row there, and the
Yep.
and the uh, armor coin. Then there's the other top stamp on that next row up. Now I've got one up there. I have to turn and take a quick look, real quick. Okay, yeah, the top back row up there is the um you got the MP and Co, and then the 60 or 61 new cards. I can't remember if it's the highlights or the whatever it is. They're not real expensive. The new card,
Right. New card. Right. Yep.
but that pretty much rounds out this shelf there. But all the ones on the wall back behind it are the J Publishings.
Right.
J
Oh,
Publishing
the
and
team
Sports
set.
Service.
Yeah.
And the far left, not the far, the actually, yeah, the far left in this shot is a 1961 Manny's Baseball Land.
Yes, I
Manny's
got the
Baseball Land,
Koufax. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah. Right next to it is a 1946 Trader. What's it called? It's the 1946 Trading Post,
Right. Uh-huh.
and that was the predecessor. That's the photo used from his 52 tops.
Yep.
That's the predecessor to the 46 and 47 Sports Exchange cards, which I've got. The 47 Sports Exchange is in, on the wall behind the other shot.
Right.
I'm still looking for that mini.
Yep.
It's one of the toughest ones I've had to find yet. Someone popped one up on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, dude, I need that. And they're like, oh, I'm not ready to sell. I'm just trying to get information. I'm like, oh, please sell me that. Broke my
Oh,
it's like dangling one of the hardest cards to find in front of me, and I'm like, no, I don't want to sell it right now. I'm like, oh, okay, but
so here we go. That's 1956. Some 55s in there.
that
Um,
is the Larsen subset.
okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering what this was. Okay, so this is everybody in the Larsen game.
Yes, this is both lineups in the Larsen game. Got the home plate umpire. Got Dale Mitchell. The I just got that bobblehead up in the middle is from foco.com.
Uh-huh.
They only produced 72 of that black and white bobblehead, and I got the the autograph signed, the picture that matches it next to it, signed by both Larsen and Berra.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking for a good Larsen Berra ball to go on that shelf.
Oh, who's on the
But
ball above it there?
just Yogi.
Just Yogi. Okay.
Yeah.
I see
This
poor Dale Mitchell down there.
yeah,
He had a decent career, and I think he was traded to the because he's not on the Dodgers there in that
right.
car.
He was with the Indians. Yeah.
And so he gets traded, I think, in the middle of the season as kind of like a pinch hitter slash like extra outfielder. And I guess he was a little older at that point. And if I'm not mistaken, his last career at bat is that strikeout at the end of the perfect game.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that would make sense. I know the interesting thing about that as well is, I don't know if have you seen the It Ain't Over documentary yet?
I have not, and
Dude, you've got to watch that.
yeah, I know. I don't want to pay for it. It's like,
It'll on the first day of the World Series. It'll be on Netflix.
well, that's when I'm going to watch it.
Okay, yeah, it's going to debut on Netflix the day of the World Series, and so something that I knew for a long time, and that's the Don Larsen game to me. It's I think a perfect game shouldn't be the Darn Larsen perfect game. It should be the Larsen Berra perfect game
Yep.
because Berra called the pitches. Berra's the one, and Larsen had to hit his points. But if you listen to Yogi, I mean, if you listen to Larsen talk about it, he said Yogi called the perfect game.
He never shook him off once in the entire game.
Never once. He
Yep.
called the perfect game.
Yep.
Larsen only got behind in a hitter once, and that was in the first inning to Pee Wee Reese. I've been studying this game since the 1990s when I first found out about it. And I've always had this love for it. And I started building this set in the 1990s. And I never really finished it until recently. And I must admit, the mantle is a reprint, as I don't have a 56 Topps mantle. And
I
I
have a
almost,
one. We were talking about ones before. I have a
yeah,
one because it was the only one I could afford. But man, the
I
game.
almost,
Mantle made like an amazing catch in left center field to save that
he
game in
did.
the third inning.
He did. Off of Gil, when Gil Hodges, Gil
It was
Hodges, Duke
right.
Snyder.
Yep. It was Gil Hodges.
Yeah. But I almost bought one yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
it was sitting there and it was looking. The guy offered me a really good price on a SGC 2.5, and I'm like, wow. But I wanted that. I didn't know Kelly was going to get the. She bought me a 52 Campy yesterday, which I didn't know she was going to do.
nice.
But I was really on the fence. I'm like, I don't know that I want it because Mantle's not my guy.
Right. Right.
But it needs. My daughter's building the 56 top set. I need it for this set. So eventually I'm going to end up getting one. But it's just one of those things I couldn't pull the trigger and do it yesterday. But it was an SGC 2.5 the guy offered me for $800.
Oh wow. Oh
yeah. And I'm like,
cool.
I should have got it. But I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's hard to, and it's not your player and it's not something that you really love. I had a hard time passing it up, but also had a hard time putting it into my head. But anyway, so I started building this in the 90s and just finished it recently, actually. Like in the past, I finished it during COVID, really. But, you've got Larsen, Berra, Babe Pinelli, who's the home plate umpire from the 55 Bowman set, and then Dale Mitchell. And what I was going to say about Dale, watching the documentary, and something that I knew from a long time ago, is that Carmen Berra, Yogi's wife, was sitting in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
And when Dale Mitchell came up to bat, she says, if we get this guy out, I'm going to name my son after him.
Oh, right. Yes.
And that's why Dale Berra, she was pregnant with Dale Berra at the time of the game. And she named her son Dale because of Dale Mitchell striking out in the bottom of the ninth. So it's just one of those cool facts about the game.
Yeah, I forgot. So I do have, I'll tell you this, I do have a complete 56 set, and
awesome.
I'll do a show on it eventually. But Don Larsen was the last card that I got in that set. And I have a picture of me sliding it into the binder. And
that's cool.
Larsen, yeah. So that I put that on Twitter and it got like 500 likes. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. The other thing in this shot is the Sal Magley card. You see up there next to Berra. Magley was the opposing pitcher. He did not have a card in the 56 top set.
Oh, okay.
And so
Where
I
is he?
had he's right up to next to Dale. I mean, next to Don Larson on the back
Oh,
row
you got
on
the
the Dodgers
Jackson
side,
57. Okay, yeah,
and he has a 55 Bowman with I think the
right.
Indians, or I can't remember. And then he has the 57 with the Dodgers. And I'm like, well, I'll choose the one with the Dodgers because he's played for the Dodgers, but the Bowman would be the same orientation. So I always have gone back and forth and kept both cards as to however
Yeah,
I display it and whatever looked best. But
I didn't know. Actually, I should know this because I have the set, but I didn't realize Magley wasn't in it. I know he kind of bounced around there at the end after he left the Giants.
yeah,
So, all right.
Stephanie's with
So
the Giants and the other one.
I put
Yeah.
these two together. We've the one on the right. I realized there's the stamp there. Who's the other player in this? Is that Roy Face with him there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Elroy
Kind of
Face.
impressed
Yes.
with myself that I got that. Um, and then on the left are some of the photos that I think these got cut off in the original because I see the type one from the that looks like from the 50 Bowman, the one where he's
Yes.
where'd you
That
get that?
is. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking where you got that because that's a great photo.
That is a 1950. I think it's considered the 1952 New York Yankees action photos set.
Okay.
It's not actually a Type One. It's
Okay.
actually it is a, it's like one of the they put out the picture packs and they put
Yeah.
out the action photos. It's either 51 or 52 action photos. Um, but that's what that one is from. The one next to it is the Sports Exchange.
Right.
That was literally, I believe that is his first card listed in TCDB. Is that Sports Exchange with him? And there's another player next to him. I can't think of who it is. I have to turn around and see if I can see it. It's that Lopat, I think maybe Ed Lopat. I can't
I don't.
remember,
I
but
don't think that's Eddie Lopat. It could be, but I'm not sure. But I don't
but
think
yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
you know that was his first card listed in the TCDB database.
Right. Okay. And then we got these two gorgeous pieces. Um,
Yes,
I guess these would be, I guess, considered two, maybe his top two most remembered moments in the game, which would be the Jackie steal of home
yes,
and of course the perfect game. Now, both of these are signed by Yogi, but I think the perfect game is also signed by Larsen, right?
it is. Yes, that's Larsen and Bear on the perfect game. That is a photo from the first pitch, which
Oh, okay. I
literally
was about to ask. Yeah,
you can
yeah.
see the ball in the air and you can see the scoreboard has no balls, no strikes, nothing and everything, and it's the first inning.
I have a very important question to ask you. You're a Yogi Berra collector.
Yes,
Safe or out?
he's out. That was one of the things I love. I love that whole debate. And I know there's that one video angle where people look at it and like, yo, from that angle he looks safe. But there's another one where you break down these photos from the other side, and
Yep.
you see Yogi down on the ground, the glove down to the ground, and there's no way Jackie got past that tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way. But I love the banter that went back and forth with Yogi
Yeah.
and Rachel Berra.
Rachel Robinson,
Until
and he.
Rachel
Yeah.
Robinson.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry,
Yeah.
Rachel Robinson.
Yeah.
Rachel Robinson. And until his passing, every time they were in the room together, every time he saw her, he would say he was out, and she would say he was safe. You know. But that was one of the things you could always get Yogi going on that. I've read a lot of Yogi books, and it's like some of the ones, and it goes through it a lot in the documentary too. You'll love the documentary, Dan, when you watch it.
Well,
It is
I'm
fantastic.
100% agree with that. Now, the steal, I think, is the steal the 56 World Series game one.
55.
It's 55. Okay, so
Yes.
the Dodgers finally got their payback in that World Series, and
Yeah.
then the Yankees went ahead and won in 56.
Yes.
Also went 7 games. So this is the last one, and I asked you to do this because I love the story. If you could tell it from the start, I
Yes.
believe you were on a birthday trip.
Yes. Last year was my 50th birthday. For my 50th birthday, Kelly asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday, and I said I want to go to Cooperstown. The most amazing experience. Sorry to get a little, but hey, it's a baseball lover. It gets me. I get emotional.
Yeah,
Going to
go
Cooperstown was
for
one
it.
of the most amazing things I ever did. It was unreal, and to take Marley, we were
Yep.
both like kids, man. I've got a video of her running up to the door and opening the door and waving me in. It was just so awesome, man. And but so that was my 50th birthday. We were going there, and I knew that, I'm like, let's plan it out, and we're going to drive and make a road trip of it. And like, we can come back down through, and we'll go to the Yogi Berra Museum. And so I posted that that was the plan, and I was going to be at the Yogi Berra Museum on my 50th birthday. And Lindsay Berra, I interact with a lot with her on Twitter, and she saw that I had posted that because I tagged the Yogi Berra Museum in it, and so she messaged me and said, "When are you going to be there?" And I said, "Well, it'll be Thursday, December the 1st." And she's like, "You know what? I'm in town that week. I'll meet you and give you the tour myself."
Nice.
Absolutely
Yep.
amazing. I mean, to get the firsthand stories, she told me things that no one else, would
Yep.
know. It's like one of the things I think was really cool, and it goes back to the Jackie Robinson thing. She said that he late in his life he was in a nursing home, and his mind was going with dementia and stuff, and said, but you could always get him. He would always come back when you talk about baseball.
Yep.
And so they were sitting there one day, and she was in a nursing home, and it was when the replay stuff was coming out, when instant replay was coming out. And so he had this thing that he would do. He would like backhand you, hey, hey, like, and she's like, if you walked up to you, and he's like, hey, and he's like backhand you, what's that talking about? And she goes, well, she told him what the replay was. He goes, well, what does that mean? And she explained it to him that, they have camera angles from all over the place to look at a play over and over again. And so they can make sure the umpires got the call right. He said, so Jackie would have been out? And she goes, yeah, Gramps, Jackie would have been out.
So yeah, that is Lindsay Berra, who is Yogi's granddaughter, who is on
Yes.
Twitter and is a wonderful person who interacts with people in such a great
Yes.
way. And when I found out that she did this for you, I was like, "Oh my God, what a great person!" To just take and you're basically a stranger. I mean, you
Yeah.
interacted and stuff, but you're basically to make that 50th birthday that important, and for her to do that for another individual, and this photograph, I mean, you got Yogi smiling behind you,
Yeah.
and the two of you, and I just, to me, I was like, this is just this is why we're in the hobby. This is,
Absolutely.
it's not always about the cards. It's in many respects it's about the people, and
Yes, it is.
this was a people thing that I really thought was just it was so wonderful, and I'm so glad you got to experience it. um and she has an interest in perpetuating her grandfather's memory, but
Yes.
he's such an iconic American, and he's such a hero, and he did so many amazing things that it's just like, it's easy to like you said before, you have to like the guy, you
Yeah.
have to admire the guy. If you don't, you're the problem, not him. So
And it's one of the things that always bugs me is, I mean, he was such an amazing person, and he was so funny in the yogiisms and all of that kind of stuff. And it's part of the documentary is the personality overshadowed the player.
right.
He was a stud on the baseball field, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He gets, like, everyone's like, oh, Johnny Bench was the greatest catcher. And that's the big debate. People want to go back and forth. Oh, why? Because Johnny Bench hit 27 more home runs. Yogi Berra caught 117 double headers.
Right.
10 World Series
Yeah,
rings.
well, yeah. He
You
also,
know,
I mean, bench was a winner, but Yogi was the ultimate
yeah,
winner. Nobody's won
absolutely.
more
And I'm
World
not taking
Series.
anything away from Johnny Bench. Please
Yeah,
don't take it in that way at all.
yeah,
But to discount Yogi as a player,
right.
you know, he was probably the best clutch hitter the history of baseball has ever seen.
Yep.
They did not want to pitch to him. One of the reasons, they would, it went back and forth. Like Mantle would hit third, Berra would hit fourth, but they did not want to, pitch to Berra. They would pitch around Yogi a lot. They'd try to pitch around Yogi to pitch to Mantle because Yogi was a harder out.
Yeah.
But they say, oh, he was a good bad ball hitter. But Yogi, it's not, one of those things about Yogi, it's not being about a good bad ball hitter. It's about hitting the pitcher's pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That waste pitch that the pitcher tries to throw, or the one that the curveball that's supposed to get you out, or the slider down and in. It didn't matter. Yogi could hit it. And
Yep.
he hit it anywhere in the field that he wanted to. It was kind of like Tony Gwynn. 1951? He only struck out like, was it like 12 times in the entire season? There's guys that strike out 12 times in a series now.
in a long doubleheader. So what I did, I'm going to wrap up in a little bit, but I did a deep dive in the 52 World Series recently, and of course, everybody remembers the 52 World Series. Mantle hit the home. Berra hit a huge home run in Game 6 to tie the game.
Yes,
and if
absolutely.
they without that, they lose. So
Yep.
when you say he was a clutch hitter, the one thing I did a deep dive on recently, of course, Yogi Berra had a crucial hit at a crucial time to keep this team in the game. So
Yes.
anyway, Stacy, really, thank you so much for coming on. Your collection is awesome. Your stories are awesome. And I know we've talked about having you come back with Marley, and that is a definite. So I really, really appreciate you coming on and really making Yogi Berra, who is a larger than life figure, make sense for everybody. And so thank you so much.
And my pleasure, Dan. Thank you so much, buddy.
Okay. I'm going to cut it now. And so we will talk, you and I, offline. I'm
Okay.
not sure who the guest is going to be next week on our show, but there will be another guest. And I'm uh, really, really excited about how many different people like yourself we've had so far recently. And it's just been a great run of shows. So thanks again, and talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dan.